I'm very happy to be here again and see all these well-known faces, and we meet each other every year. I'm very happy to meet Alejandro, and as you can tell from figure 1 and figure 2, there is a huge age gap. But we were speaking and we agree on many things in terms of philosophy and technology regarding social media. And I can tell you that I've worked with many developers and programmers and so on. And speaking with Alejandro last weekend, I wanted to learn more and more, and I was asking him more and more. He's very pedagogic. So I hope you have the same thing I got when I first talked to him on the phone, and I hope you also get entangled in what he has to say. So let's start from the beginning. What's Nostr? Can you explain that very briefly? Nostr is a protocol that enables the creation of decentralized social media where people are owners. People own their identities and the information they publish. You're not locked into a platform as you are in Twitter, but you can use it on any app that uses that protocol. And anything you publish can be easily transferred wherever, and it can be downloaded and so on. So I have ownership on my identity, but what else? Where else can you use this protocol? Well, in many other places. The first thing we added was the microblogger. The idea was to come up with a credible alternative to Twitter. But the way it's designed is very flexible, and you can use many types of information and many types of contents. So blogs, streams, music. We have many types of contents using the same format, and I can interact with them using the same AI in different apps. So can you give us some examples, such as your project Habla.news? Well, basically, Habla.news is a tool to create content like a blog and edit them. And you can also use it in other projects such as Zap Stream. It's a streaming platform where you can advertise your streaming and use a chat room. It's like Twitch. Yes. Those are not silo applications. The information is not separate for every app. With my profile, I can use all of them, and I can bring my contacts from one to another and my reputation from one to another. So it would be something like Twitter. In Nostr, you would have something like Twitter, Medium, or is it WordPress? It's more like Medium. But the contents you publish through Habla.news, you can use those contents for your personal blog, because all the content is available for you to use anywhere. And that's a great advantage. I, myself, can move around all those tools in that protocol. Is it very complicated to do it? We are trying to make it as friendly as possible. And well, for your identity, you use a couple of passwords. Some of us are very used to that, but not everyone. So we are trying to make it more accessible to everyone. So if we are using this, how is it related to privacy and people's data? We use cryptography to sign messages. If you can't deny the ownership of something you have signed cryptographically. and your information cannot be falsified. So messages keep their integrity, and the messages in Nostr can be delivered to different relay servers. So your information is cryptographically signed and distributed. So it's very difficult to be censored or to have your contents modified. And your account cannot be cancelled. Like YouTube or Instagram, if you do not meet their criteria, then they remove your content, right? Yes, we use some servers that might get you censored, but it would be very complicated because you would be in different sites. If I have a message written in Nostr, I could have it. I could have it in different tools and reuse it from a different app. So that's great. There is no censorship, but taking into account that we live in a world of misinformation and fake news and all that, and anyone can publish anything, what can we do? Well, this is open and to everyone with all its consequences. So you have to use your intelligence to set. Well, you have to be able to tell what's wrong and not yourself. You have to have your own tools, and you can report contents, so people can decide the information they want to have, and they can filter by words. Users and their network, whatever they deem to be fake, that can be moderated somehow.
So maybe not all of us are knowledgeable in this type of protocols. Is that similar to what Twitter did back in the day, to put something in context, to contextualize, so that if I put context to that, the user cannot censor my comments? How can you do that? Well, for example, you can annotate a post. You can make comments and then add references or whatever, or edit. And everybody can comment on it. I cannot stop it. So that's how you can make sure that you can see the post and comments coming from your network, other people you trust in Nostr. I was looking at Nostr some time ago, but that something clicked in my mind. When Jack.say, Twitter's founder, started paying attention to it, from my point of view, as a normal user, it made me more credible to me when Jack Dorsey started to support it. Somehow, it gave it like a boost. I think it was very positive for the protocol because of the international attention it attracted. Also because he's using a foundation called OpenSats that I collaborate with, and they are using it to fund some of Nostr's projects. So having money is very positive for the developers, because all of us who've been working on it are doing it and on our leisure time, deducting time from our family time, our time with friends, etc. OpenSats are giving away some grants so that developers can work on it faster and they can devote more time to it, so it's moving faster. The OpenSats grants are making it possible for many developers to work on things like this. This foundation is only funding open source projects, free projects. So it's something useful for the people, for the whole population. It's not business oriented. So these projects are non-profit, and the network can really move forward and create many different projects so that they can serve as an inspiration for people. So in summary, you are developing something based on a protocol that you like and you're paid for it, right? Yes, 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 yes. Because we will, we have the habit of eating 3 times per day, so we need money for that. So it was supported or endorsed by Dick Dorsey and then Mr. McCarthy, an activist of the Pirate Party, parliamentary member of parliament in Iceland a few years ago, is Mary McCarthy. It's Mary McCarthy. I interviewed him a few years ago, and he talked about centralized networks, ones that cannot be, they are not trustworthy. That was a few years ago, and no significant change has been made. In a few years' time, maybe if we repeat this interview, are we sure that we are gonna comment on all the changes and the progress that will have been made? Hopefully, yes, I hope so. So rules will be made by users instead of the big techs, so that people will know what they want to see or not, if they can comment and annotate anything. This is what we're working for. Instead of having giant silos of information, Facebook, Instagram, etc., you all know them, are big corporations, and they have to pay attention, they have to obey the governments of the countries they operate in. They are not always user-oriented. They won't advocate the user's interests. Their purpose is for you to spend as much time as possible on the platform so that art will be served to you and to get some emotional reaction from you so that you can spend more time reacting, typing, or whatever. I don't know if that will fuel a discussion or a conversation. I'm not talking about healthy discussions. Nostr will be an alternative to what we already have. If you want to refer people or for an artificial intelligence to recommend to refer you to content or to serve you specific content, we can also include that in Nostr. So you can use the same username, the same credentials to all platforms. So it's like a decentralized network, just like Bitcoin, right? With it, does it use the cryptocurrencies protocols? Well, not really. We have servers called relays. They're very cheap they're not very resource consuming, and they are used as intermediaries, like we use intermediaries to communicate to other people. So instead of using one or two or a few servers, we try to use as many as possible so that we can make them censorship-proofed, censorship-resistant. So the use of servers is, of course, different from using person-to-person communication, but the good thing is that messages cannot be manipulated, and they also make us to easily develop our own contents or host contents for your friends, your family, or whoever. I can buy that, but how to make people massively adopt it? Because we're talking about citizen democracy, because we're happy here, we have a good time, we enjoy ourselves. But how can we make it available to everyone in the world? This is a very important question. It is a critical question. With the apps that we have developed so far, it is true that this concept of private key or public key, like a limited number of users and the password, that is very unreliable, because if you lose it, nobody can restore it. So we can host several services on Nostr that can easily integrate to what you are used to using. For example, an email address. You can create a service by creating an identity with your email address, and every time we want to use an application with Nostr, you can get a password sent to your email. They use cryptography and this type of systems, but it will be more digestible in future versions, let's say easier for common users. Okay, if I am a common user, a standard user, what would be the first step? What would the first step would be? I don't want to advertise for the projects I have collaborated. Maybe yes. It's not that social. You can start by signing up in that platform, and then you can use Habla.news if you want to create a blog. Instead of using short tweets, you can create a full blog. You can edit it, you can change it, you can make comments. People watching those blogs and reading those blogs can start a discussion on something from that blog or annotated. Another example, another app I've been collaborating, Zap.stream. It is also running on Nostr, and with your identity, you can watch and streamed contents and then chat, just like Twitch or YouTube. These three apps that I have just mentioned are very interesting. They are three examples that use the same user identity, and they give the user many different experiences. Another one is Tempter.app for music, listening to music. Authors and musicians can publish strings like music certs, and then other people can remix it. For example, well, it's easily recognizable, of course. So then producers or people who liked it can identify each other and then make something more about it. These are the apps that serve as an alternative, that are alternatives to known apps that already exist, but there are new apps that offer totally different things and new things. Well, since I am the master here, I say I buy it, and so everybody will follow suit. Well, the main problem here, the main challenge is, well, if I want to use Nord or Iris or any of those apps, I don't have any followers, or I don't know any other members there, because, okay, I can use my identity, the one that I have on Twitter or Instagram, but my friends are not there. They won't tag along. I have to let them know each one by one that, hey, I've moved to Snort or whatever. Please follow me there. Of course, you need that networking effect. You need to attract more people so that they can generate more content. But yes, it's a circle. But the more you use Nostr, the more people will use it, the more interaction you will get, the more engagement, and more people will join over time. The problem with it being a small network, or with the problem with having just a small community, is that engagement will not have a lot of impact. But well, that's why I'm here. Please join Nostr, and then let your audience know that you've moved to Nostr. So please join us. If you want to follow me, Espíritu Santo, please follow me on Nostr, because I have already signed up. No, it's not No. Okay, this is my last question. I'm sorry, this is one more question. I have to ask one more question, very simple one. This is very personal. I'm quite an age, and for me, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, or even Bob Dylan, for me, are way better than Maluma or Bad Bunny. Well, for me, in the 90s, there was a platform created back then where many people could interact with each other censor-free. So that website I'm talking about is maybe the germ for the origins, or see the origin for this Nostr thing, right? Yes, that is part of the that is part of what we used to think about back then. That is the seed for it. That was also the seed for the internet, the way we are using it now. Before it was totally stolen from us by the big corporations. So this is the same idea. We have a small platform, but you can have as many followers as you want, and people will stay there. But for that, you need to in the traditional platforms, I mean Facebook, Instagram, etc., you need to be serving content all the time so that your followers will stay and nobody will leave your feed. This is totally different. We don't have any boundaries here, so people can be there all the time. You don't have to be. You're not a slave to these platforms. So I'm really happy to know what you are doing. Thank you, thank you. Now time for questions. Not that many questions, please. How many? Only, well, I have to be paid €2 per question, right? Or €200. Well, I'm sorry about people behind me. My question is, maybe this is like the new activity pub, new version of activity pub, right? Activity pub and Blue Sky are competing for the same market niche, but our architecture is different. It's not about microblogging. The philosophy and the functionality behind it is, well, the philosophy behind it is the same, but the functionality behind it is completely different. I wanted to add something else, I'm sorry. We have also bridged some gaps between ActivityPub and Nostr. For example, Mastodon can interact with the people. People in Mastodon can interact with the people in ActivityPub. So we cannot interpret the questions asked without a microphone.
Sí. Sí, sí, Mastodon, lo conozco.
Mastodon has now many million users. I know Mastodon, yes.
Hola, que mi pregunta es, tú estabas hablando del tema de lo de la censura y de la libertad de expresión, pero claro, ¿hasta qué cierto punto llegaría eso? Me refiero, si ya hablamos de casos como vemos a diario de ciberbullying, delitos de odio, etcétera, ¿habría alguna manera de parar todo eso? No solo que los usuarios digan a lo mejor esto está mal, sino desde la plataforma.
Pues las plataformas, claro, son los...
How can you stop it? How can you stop the problems created by cyberbullying or the hate speech, etc.? Well, there are blocks and blockages that you can implement to stop that kind of comments and behaviors. Of course, there is freedom of speech, But if you want to mute some comments or some videos or some behaviors, you can always mute them. It has to be also safe for minors and kids, so there will be many controls that you can implement based on the type of users. We're not there yet, but we are talking about it, and we are creating the tools for it to be possible, so that the user experience will always be safe and nice and enjoyable, so that you won't see anything that really doesn't suit you. Well, this is linked to what someone said earlier. Aren't you afraid of this to be distorted? For example, this freedom of speech can be a double-sided sword. Because for the content to be there, I think it's a danger. It is risky. I can always mute it and opt out, but the content will still be there. And where are your servers located? Well, it is true. It is a responsibility. It's also freedom. We're given a lot of power to people, and some people will abuse it. That is inevitable. But this is the price that we have to pay for having that freedom of speech. I'd rather be free and have everyone speak out or speak up, and then having controls on it, controls that verify and sanction what you say, rather than having a big corporation shut down my account or mute me because I am going against their interests. Second question. Your servers. Well, they are located everywhere because I use a mix of servers across the world. Many people run these servers for free, the public servers, so anyone can use them. Some other services allow you to use your private server to create a private server just for you. So servers are very flexible, and the format is very easy. Servers can be anywhere, even your own home. I have two questions. It's going to be super quick. You said that you could use Twitter or X. Now you can use Nostr, and you can say so in Twitter, but maybe the platforms are censoring your post, saying that you are using Nostr. For example, instead of saying, when you say, hey, I'm on Instagram, follow me, they mute or they delete Instagram and say another platform. They replace it with another platform. Yes, that is also true. They are aware that we are a competitor, and yes, it can happen. I am no longer in Twitter, but yes, probably Twitter is censoring that information. Well, I also work as a coach for female entrepreneurs, and I wanted to know whether using these platforms is easier for this type of people, meaning they're more visually or interactive for people who are not really who are illiterate in the use of these social platforms, social media. I don't think it's more intuitive. I don't think so. We're trying to improve the user experience and making it inclusive for as many types of users as possible. The good thing about it is that the good thing is that, of course, we are using our own protocols. That means that it is now totally standardized. We wanted to reach a compromise so that it can be accessible to everyone by, for example, for users to use apps that embed Nostr by using their own usability and accessibility things. You have to be a copycat. You should copy some of the features of the well-known platforms. Well, anyway, if you experience a problem with the apps I've mentioned, please talk to me. Please approach me. Well, we need to wrap up because Jorge is here. There is a question that is probably common to all of us. You come from the Basque Country. And why that name, Verbiricha? Verbiricha, for a cockle in Spanish, Verberecho. Well, Verbiricha is very interesting for me. Even if I come from the Basque Country, I like flamenco and I like the Caló language. So I was really reading about it and doing some research. And I was reading at some online dictionaries. Caló is a minority language, and it was fascinating for me. So I found this word, Verbiricha, which means viper, and I liked it.